Hi there, Alice here, aka Imperial Ghost. I'm a southern witch from Finland, and in today's video, that you are preparing for Christmas, that you are not preparing for Christmas, or you hate Christmas, I want to start this video with some questions. What do you fear the most? What do you think that fear is? What fears means to you? What it is it an emotional state of mind? It is a psychological state. It is a language. It is something that we are not meant to explore and learn from, or instead it is a wall hunting ground that we have to learn to work with. We have to go through it or let the fear come through our body and live it while teaching us lessons in order to remain the only one standing once she's gone. Why I'm asking you this? Because in today's video, we're gonna go through dealing with fear. And as always, we're gonna do this both looking through the lenses of the MC culture, motorcycle culture, and the occult culture. And I think that today it's a little bit more easy than all the other videos. Why? Because in this case, the parallelisms are so close to each other that we can actually just don't look at it without making back and forth from the two. So, how can we define fear? We can look at fear as something that is older than war itself, that it's primal and deeply rooted into survival. So, fear, we can look at it as that an invisible guest that finds its way inside our body, under our skin, through our fleshes, and all of a sudden tries to take full control of all the decisions that we make, our way to think, the patterns that we live our life, and it starts to corrupt everything. You remember the movie Fern Gully, when there was this slimy, I don't remember his name, the slimy entity coming down, oily, that was destroying. So fear is something that comes in and starts to destroy everything that we built, that confidence, that sense of safety that we previously built and thought. It is unshakable. She will take the fundamentals of everything that we know about ourselves, about our surrounding, as situations of truth, and shake it as a hurricane. So when I started into the culture, I thought that fear would be more just an emotional reaction, an emotional state. And this was also heavily promoted into the material that has a new witch I will stumble upon. There was just looking at fears pretty much has the suite of the cups of the tarot. So you want to work on it, go with it, maybe put in some wands, cards from the wands, some swords, and go from there. When instead, in my beginnings into the MC culture, having the fears to go into the unknown, because even if I knew a little bit about the culture, about the fundamental, I didn't have the same knowledge that I have today. So I still look at it with a sense of I'm walking on shaking grounds that I don't know well. And I think that it was maybe in 3 months I started to notice that for this culture, yes, there is an emotional upbringing when it comes to fear, but it mostly is a language, an unspoken one, but understood through, for example, glances, the way of people looking at you, the twitching of an eye rather than a normal looking, those turning the head, those silence that you can literally cut it with a blade, or a silence when there should be comments, there should be an interview event from somebody. And so something that both has an emotion and has language itself, it holds a currency of respect. Because think of it, I'm not saying that we are not supposed to face our fears, but there's a high chance that if we are really afraid of someone or something, or a specific situation taking place, let's just be honest. Maybe it's not gonna be the first choice that you face it or crossing it and see how it goes. We might rather I don't know, put it on the side and pretend, okay, I'm moving away, nobody noticed, or bury into the ground into what I will call the ostrich styles, like many do with problems in order to not have to deal with them. Or even ending up into destroying habits like drinking, getting high. So doing everything in order to avoid it. So definitely it takes that kind of respect out of fear rather than a healthy one. It can be healthy sometimes, this kind of respect, other times no. It's really a fine art. In that case, it's really a fine art. And the problem with denying our fears, it is that maybe not in the short time, but in the long run, what is gonna happen, it is that fear will take so much control or our whole system, energy, and being to gain the full control of it, become the man, become the government in charge of ourselves. And so here it comes the first lessons that I got from both these cultures, I will say mainly the MC culture, the importance of actually acknowledge fear, be there, taking it, decomposing it into small little pieces, analyzing, understanding every single one, pull them together again, because this process allows us to actually be able to wield fear as a tool, be it a tool of understanding, be it a tool of powers, a tool of respect, a tool from which gaining insight into ourselves, so new lessons and transformation, a tool to even strengthen even more our identity and code if we have more than one, and also gaining an understanding of the anatomy of fear. What can we say about the anatomy of fear? Where, for make some example, fear, if I think in the terms of these cultures, from the MC culture, it could come from the loss of a life. All of a sudden, somebody, the once a moment is there, the other is gone because falls down from a bike. Something else happened. The loss of respect, also, be it for an action that we did, or be it due to other circumstances where the perception that we gave to others stopped to exist, or it comes out, for example, not be exactly the truth, what we sold as reality, or even the loss of reputation too. Many things, respect and reputation, as the same thing. I wouldn't say that they are the same thing, because It's a little bit more easy gain back respect than actually heal a reputation. And pretty much my understanding of the reputation when applied to fears and losing it due to fear, due to hesitation. So having a way to roll that it's born out from fear, it breeds weakness. And if we are weak, definitely our reputation is gonna be weak. It's gonna be like a butterfly. You touch its wings too much, trying to fix them if they're damaged, trying to reset them in a way, and eventually the butterfly will die or will never be the same. So it holds a very delicate balance in that case. And also, hesitation, when it's out from fears, be it of acting, be it of taking a deliberate decision, or even this when take in consideration a movement of the hand rather than of the leg, a way to sit rather than stand. It can bring us into inviting destruction to take place, as mentioned before. And where destructions take place and start to call it a home, that it's when it becomes a parasite. It becomes slowly part of our body, and maybe washing it away through rituals, through therapy, through trying to meditate and find escaping ways. At that point, if it's too grounded, it may hands up into bring everything that we feared forward and actually manifest a quality of life, a quality of surrounding that we never wanted. And so here what is important, it's, I wouldn't say make sure that fears go immediately away. Face the fear and let it go away. Absolutely not. Learn to listen to it. We want to see through fears, not over fears, through fears, for understanding it, and be sure that the next time we get triggered by it, we're going to be ready, because we are going to have already a little understanding of what's going on, why this is happening, where does it come from, where it originates. So we want to learn to listen to it in order to be able to see it, to truly see it, to have that starting transition from the mentality of being the prey, that it's hunted by everything and everyone, to a more elevated hunter person. So we says having that metaphorically beauty of fear of the predator. So where we are the predator and we are in charge of how fear is allowed to shape us rather than just be a victim of it or be a puppet. So it is extremely important that whenever we pay attention to it and we listen to our voice, we automatically know that there's a high chance it's gonna come like the most beautiful siren voice to our ears, trying to talk us into give up, into give in to her, the place and the control. And here is where we don't allow her to govern it. We want to make like Ulysses in the Odyssey, where he asked to the others on the ship to tie him to one of the trees of the vessel, and to actually close the ear, but not to his ear, because he wants to listen the sirens, but he doesn't want to fall victim of that. We can see it like this if you like classical literature. Lots of there are also lessons about how to go through fears. For them, it was extremely important. And here, like we said, we have fear also becoming a teacher. I get that. Is it really possible to have fear as teacher? Yes. And here is why you want to fear become a teacher. Because fear reveals threats that the other around us might be missing. Just because they are not, let's suppose, approaching fear as we are doing, so trying to gain an understanding, a deeper level of understanding of it, a more intimate one. We are learning how to dance with it in a way that we are gonna enjoy, we are gonna feel inspired, challenged by it, and we really want to get transformed and learn how to allow it in, process it, and progressively let it out, rather than just bury it. And another thing, by doing this, fear is gonna actually enhance your instinct and also your psychic ability if you are into the occult culture. So in this way, so it's a very refined double-edged sword. It's either you decide to allow it to destroy it, or fear to become a scalpel into your hand, in order that you are gonna be able to cut through illusions, reshape the world, reshape your life, reshape every single little trigger of you. You're gonna become the surgeon basically of yourself. And it also teaches you the art of patience, the art of really sit down and put a thought, put an understanding of questioning. It doesn't have to be philosophical if it's not your thing. It doesn't have to be extremely deep. It can be as simple as you want. But as long as you take your time to really understand why something is keeping repeating itself and is keeping triggering you and gaining so much energy and so much space of your mind and out of you, definitely you want to be patient. You want to wait a little bit to take that decision, that impulsive decision. And here I will say, and I'm thinking I'm going to make a videos about this, we want to learn two art. One is called the art of restraint, and the other is the art of subtlety. Sometimes the second one can get some very bad connotations. It really depends how you use it and how you wield it. As much as there is no bad type of magic and there is no good type of magic, it's really depending what one is looking for in using it. And like we said before, fears, if takes control, creates fractures. It cracks us metaphorically. And when this happens, so imagine like a porcelain doll that is all cracked and you can see through it. You can see a little bit in the darkness and a little bit the weaknesses hiding under what we say the exterior expressions, under the bones, behind under those cracked eyes, cracked nose, cracked lips, cracked neck. And so it exposes the weaknesses of others. It exposes elements from which we can learn more about those that we interact with and we have around us. And this can happen also with physical places when they are very grounded into energy of fear. The air itself, the energy that they harness, the elements in it, the colors, the change of palettes, how the the lights of the sun impacts whatever it is in, how that of the moon, how that of not direct lights. So fear, it's a revelation and also a teacher in this case. And here, like we spoke recently, it comes very in handy having extremely crystal clear and grounded down our own identity and code. What do I mean with code? So a code of behavior, a set of rules that we follow, or bylaws of us that we follow, of how we behave, how we choose deliberately to reply, react, talk, look at, reflect, decide, and so on. But also a code of values, knowing what are our own values in front of fear. Because let me tell you this, fear, it is the abyss. You know, in the occult culture, that is this talk about the abyss that a magician has to cross in order to evolve, in order to advance into the art. And so with fear, the only difference is that fear doesn't have any garden. There is no demon sleeping there. Fear is literally an abyss that it's gonna stare at you. It's gonna stare at me. And here it becomes very important to not panic, to not let it take out everything that she wants from us. Our own identity, our own values, corrupt them till the point that we don't know again anymore where are we standing, or we know it but just partially. And why this? Because as long as our own identity, so who we are or who we have built, if you are doing shadow work, so you are rebuilding yourself for improving because unsatisfied with who you were before. And identity, it's something that it's very changeable, it's very transformative, and sometimes it's a personal decision to actually evolve in that sense. But still, in those cases, when we truly know our code and they are 100% grounded, 100% made of steel, so much that even in a moment of fear, these are unshakable, we become untouchable. We become the Iron Man, we can say it. And so another the fear, which I will say it's the more common and the more easy one that can get into us and put everything to the fire, is the fear of being insignificant. You know, when you started a project that you are extremely passionate, you're absolutely sure that there was no better idea, there is no other alternative, it's gonna work. You start to spend nights awake rather than sleep and be dead the day after. You really put in the effort. And then, while you are still focused there, you start to get those memos of, what if I don't know anything? What if it's not gonna, this project is not gonna help anybody? It's not gonna change the life of anybody. What if I'm no one? So, you know, also the fear, what if nobody's gonna remember my work, is gonna remember me for my work? So fear forces us also to come on terms with the mortality of things, be it our own death, as we are beings meant of coming to this world, evolve through this process, and then at the moment of departure of death, deciding, do we want to do this again, or did we had it enough? So, and this comes also with whatever projects and situation in life we could actually go through. it forces us to really made up our mind and made up our understanding of ourselves, of the world, of its laws. And it's actually the origin, as we have seen, and we can look at everything that we say, has fear being the origin of all powers. Because if we fear, when we fear something, immediately we're gonna try to come up with a solution in order for that to manifest. And sometimes I've been in a situation where I had to read about my own fears, because I believe that for as much as we say, I don't fear anything, everybody has fears, just not everybody they say it out loud. I'm of this idea. And at the beginning of my journey into magic, I will be reading and having pre-constructed spread, and rather than pay attention to whatever card will come before the moment in which I will pull it for the most plausible future, I will immediately looking at the outcome and make my conclusion, and only after pay attention to what came before. But hear me on this. What if, rather than go immediately to pay attention to the most plausible one, and I underline this, and I will always do this, and I will die metaphorically on underline this, it's good to divinate on the future, but as long as you understand that what are you seeing is the most plausible one. So what if actually the information, the blessings, and the suggestions from spirit for you in order to deal with fear lies into all the cards that you didn't pay attention immediately. In their connections, there are literally decks out there that they have this holistic approach where the artwork of the cards, it's as intentionally the characters looking in specific direction. And so in the context of a reading, having, for example, one card that is looking to the one that came before, or to the one that came after, or the one under and up. What about that? You might have missed it because you wish to focus on the outcome. What about the connections between all of them, or just some of them, depending from the context, and so on? So here, why, even when we are gonna try to help ourselves reading and getting introspections with the tarot, we wanna approach this as in control, sitting in a place of power, our own power, high into it, tall into it, and only once that we pay attention to this picture, going to see that and pay attention to the outcome line, so that by that time actually we could already have figured out what to do in order to minimize that negative outcome if it's the case, or to ground down that positive outcome, or if it is a mixed one, how to adjust it. As long as we elevate ourselves to see fear as something that we have to embrace and learn from, rather than something that we want to bury, then everything is going to be fine. Or at least this is what worked for me. I hope that you enjoyed today's video. I know it has been a little bit different from all the others, but you know, I always recognize that before to starting to go into places connected to the MC culture, fear was having the best out of me emotionally, it will make me really feel on a roller coaster. And after dealing with the surroundings, talking with people, learning from people, and diving in more into the understanding of the culture itself, and also the same for the occult. Oh, the occult put me through so much levels of fears that I didn't even thought they were possible, that ain't even funny. But put it together all this, when I started to experiment all these phases, we can sum them up as seeing fear has a language rather than an emotional state. So a language is something that we can actually study and crack down pretty well with respect to emotion, that they are a little bit more volatile, more difficult to understand. And then taking a look at the anatomy of fears. It can be our own fears. It can be the fears connected to elements of a culture if you are working in that way. Even your fear to approach a spirit, or the fear that one of your spirits, if you have more than one, could have towards someone else in your life, or another spirit living inside it. I've seen also that. And then seeing as fear and embrace it as a teacher, as a silent teacher. Like we said, it's an unspoken language, fear, but something that it's understood by watching, by listening it, like we said. Listen, don't let it govern yourself. And then again, make sure that we keep our identity and codes of behaviors, codes of rolling, and values grounded into our own power, our own identity, and allow fear to transform us for the better, while not bury even the fear of being significant, of being nobody, or be a failure, but rather come to terms with these type of minor fears, because it's minor fears, but they can build a whole Disneyland that you didn't ask it for. And so I hope you loved it. Let me know in the comment what you think about it. And I want to also take these moments for let you know, guys, that the website in these days, between this week and next week, is gonna go through under transformations. I'm gonna work with it. I'm gonna revamp it a little bit. So if you try to book through it, it might be not available, but you can find me the business email called info.imperialghost@gmail.com. You can find me also on Facebook, as social medias, and you can reach out also through Messenger in that. I hope you're gonna do extremely fine. You're gonna be blessed. Stay safe, and please don't worry about fear. Everybody deals with fears. But go from be a prey to be a hunter. I'm extremely proud of you guys. See ya.